documentation. We talked about operational readiness program, which refers to the state of preparedness and ability of a facility to support operational requirements and business objectives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Vivian. Excellent. You took enough down home that day. Thank you very much. Okay, somebody else again. I need 2 more persons. I've gotten 1, 2 to go. Or should I call people by their names? Okay, Mr. Ezekiel Zogo. Mr. Ezekiel. Mr. Kenny Edwin. Mr. Kenny.
Yeah, how it is, sir.
Okay, Mr. Kenny, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, good evening. Actually, I was unable to attend a class, but I watched through the video and picked some few lessons from what is being discussed on Monday. Actually, they discussed about planning that it takes about 2 to 5 years in planning, and he made mention of if you're in a certain place for more than 5 years and you do not update yourself, that you're not moving forward. And we as an individual, we ought to improve ourselves in means of education, means of intellectual ideas. We should not be stagnant in one place. We should try and make sure that we achieve something in the space of 2 to 5 years. So we can able to build ourselves more, become more effective as an FM admin or a manager in a various field of expertise. And also, we also discuss more on how we, as FM, should welcome criticism, not only mainly accept everything that is good. Because you said that if you receive reports, reviews from your co-workers or colleague or your contractor outside that say, how is my service doing? And they say it's all good, it's all good. Just know that you have a problem with whatever you are doing in your work sector. And you will make yourself be indispensable. That whatever your decision says should be in line with what with the organizational structure, so that they will see you as somebody who is indispensable, that your voice counts in whatever they're doing. I also put on note that at that point which you give out your quota of ideas as an FM analyst in your organization, at that point, some boards may not take it to heart, but they will keep your advice in a concrete space, so that whatever they need your advice, some of the board might come out and meet you for more advice. So it's best for us to give our best in whatever we are doing as an FM analyst or FM manager in a different sector of work. So I also watched the video you talked about this EEI, emphasis emotional intelligence. So we should try and listen to our customers, our clients, and the board of directors to get to know how they feel with what we are doing. With that, we're going to make better use of how we manage the facility as a whole.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edwin. Mr. Pochidi, what are your take home from last class on Monday?
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Chidi.
Yeah, what I was able to take home from the last class are the processes of strategic facility planning, which are the understanding level, the analysis level, the planning, and then the acting. These processes made me to understand that strategic planning in facility management is key, and then the processes in which one would be able to achieve a successful strategic facility planning are these processes. Thank you.
You're most welcome. So I can see everybody has taken 1 or 2 things down home that same Monday. And today we shall be focusing mainly on the asset management. And on this, I've made mention of what is actually going to be our outro. We're going to have a short break by 6 o'clock. They'll come back by 10 past 6. They'll wrap up everything by 10 minutes or 15 minutes to 7. So by then, I will definitely open the floor for question and answer. But along the line, if you have any question that you actually needed to ask, please feel free, raise up your hand. I will either call on you or you can put your question down. Then by the time we have break or at the end of the class, we can eventually discuss on your question one or the other. It could be basically on this course we're actually doing, or possibly something that is of paramount theory issue at your current working place. You can discuss about it and deliberate on it together. So my name is Engineer Kala Emmanuel. I will be taking us today on asset management. Then on Friday, we're actually going to do facility condition assessment. And by next week, Monday, this same time, we'll do plumbing, water treatment plant, and sewage treatment plant. I've been facilitating with Max-Migold for a period of more than 6 years. And I'm a certified member of Foreign, SMRP, AMP, WSO, IET, and IEE. So I major in facility management, water engineering, equipment repair and maintenance, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, and general consultancy. So again, that is all you need to know about. Is there any other thing? Please kindly discuss. Get in touch with Barakat. So, what are the objectives of today's class? At the end of the class, it is to understand what is the economic objective of selling an asset at a high value. Then, what are the critical value placed on an asset? Then, what is the difference between an asset and an inventory? Improving efficiency, performance, and utilization of an asset. Facilitate commission your asset. How do you maintain your asset? How do you decommission an asset? Then what do you need to put in place to enhance the asset life cycle? Then improving operational performance and efficiency. Then how to synchronize your asset register with CMMS and CAFE. Your CMMS is computerized maintenance management system. CMMS stand for computerized maintenance management system. And CAFM, that is PAFM, stand for computer aided facility management. Computer aided facility management, that is CAFM. So we're having like 5 areas in this course that we're actually going to develop. The first is introduction to asset management. Then 2, asset register. 3, asset storage and retrieval methods. Then life cycle and costing procedure of an asset periodic audit and review. So without much, who can just give me a brief definition of what an asset is in your own term? Please just signify by raising up your hand. In your own term, what is that asset? I need somebody to define an asset for me. Madam Vivian. Yeah, go ahead, ma'am. I think you have to unmute your speaker. Okay, Mr. Edwin.
Okay, sorry,
While we're waiting for...
sir.
Okay, Madam Vivian, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't know I was muted. An asset, my own understanding, refers to something that has value. Anything that has value to an individual or an organization can be referred to as an asset. Yes, sir.
Okay. Happen to be an asset. Actually, you are. Let me see, say I can give you 60 out of 100 in that. So an asset is something valuable to an organization. And let me start this way. Just like from the last class we had on Monday that we spoke about strategy, and every company has a vision, and every company has a mission. And whatsoever strategic you want to put in place as far as facility management is concerned must be in tune. It must be linked to the overall vision and mission of the organization. And once there is a change, once there is a strategic change in organization goal, definitely there is going to be an alteration or changes in strategic plan and the tactical plan at the same time. But one of the goals of every company is to maximize profits. And how do you maximize profits? Be you in a oil and gas environment as a facility manager, be you a facility manager in transportation industry, facility manager in production environment, facility manager in building, facility manager in real estate. What the company is actually after is profit, return on investment. And you have something that you actually use to get your production done, to get things right, in order for you to get in what revenue. And that is where asset comes into play. Asset is something valuable that an organization owns. You can benefit from it, you can use it, and you can as well use it to what, generate revenue. That is an asset. And the difference between an asset and consumables or inventory is asset lasted beyond a 12 calendar month, but your consumables and your inventory doesn't extend beyond 12 calendar months. That is just the difference between an asset and an inventory. And you can also say an asset is a resource with economic value, or with the expectation that it's actually going to provide a future benefit. You're actually going to recoup money from it, or it's going to give you benefits in the nearest future. And when you're looking at it in an accounting context, assets can either be current or fixed assets. Current are more or less like your cash flow, your accounts receivable, your inventory, and your fixed assets are expected, assets that are expected to be providing what future benefits, just like your physical assets or your liquid assets, like you deposited money in your account, in your fixed deposit account for a period of 3 or 4 years, which you're expecting what profit in return. That is also an asset. It could be a physical asset and it may be a non-physical asset. But you have to bear in mind that assets retain value beyond a 12 calendar month. And when you're talking about the management of an asset, the management of an asset is all about the processes, the procedure, and the steps you take in managing an asset. And I often say that when you're talking about processes and systematic approach of managing an asset, deploying, operating, maintaining, upgrading, or disposing of an asset, it is not a unilateral activity. Unilateral activity in the sense that it is not the core or the sole responsibility of only the facility manager or maintenance manager, or whichever name the organization decided to call it. But when you're talking about asset management, it must be a coordinated activity, because every stakeholder must get involved in the management of that asset. The MDCO must be involved, the finance personnel must be involved, and maintenance personnel or facility manager must be involved. It's all depend on company-wise. Some company might decide to put asset management under a facility management if the company is not that robust to that extent. But if the company is expanded, the company might decide to have an asset manager separately, in which his job is completely focused on how to manage the company assets, while a facility manager is also engaged in utilization of that asset and making sure that these assets are always in the right and in their good condition and available for usage as at when need be. And that's why it has to be a coordinated activity, not a unilateral activity that is just the sole responsibility of the facility manager alone. And the type of asset manager, You have financial asset manager, which I just mentioned earlier on that, okay, I have like 100 million naira that I want to put in my fixed deposit account, or I have like 1 billion naira that I'm not ready to actually use immediately. I can give it to a business expert. They use that money to venture into business on my behalf. And maybe in the span of 3 or 5 years times, I started expecting my return from that investment that I've made. Then you have infrastructure asset management. Lagos Ibadan Expressway is an infrastructure towards the federal government of Nigeria. We have enterprise asset manager, we have physical plant asset management, we have real estate asset management, we have HR asset management. That's the reason why every company always sees their employee as an asset of that organization. So asset management strategy. The strategy involved in managing an asset includes it helps to provide a better understanding on how to align asset portfolio so that it best meets service delivery needs of the organization, both in the current time and in the nearest future as well. It also enables the organization asset management policy to be what? To be achieved. Because part of the policy of the organization is be that if I'm actually moving an asset from Lagos branch office to Owerri in another branch office, these are the processes that I have to take. These are the level of approval that I have to get. These are the people that must be involved before the asset can be what? Be commissioned and transfer and recommission again the required current location. These are policies that can be put in place in order to ensure the good management of company assets. So the first step in developing an asset strategy is one, you need to get a clear understanding of the current situation of the asset. Current situation of the asset in the sense that when was this asset procured? How long has this asset been in service? What is the expected lifetime of that asset? Can this asset still meet up with our current requirements, or will it be able to stand the test of time and still be able to like give us the deliverables that we expected of it in the nearest 5 years? These are all what you need to like first of all get in detail for before you can say, okay, you need to start formulating how you can manage your assets. And when you have a clear understanding of the current situation of your assets, you'll be able to know what is the current condition of the asset. Can this asset meet your current need, or will the asset be able to what? Provide the deliverable expected of the asset in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time, in 5 years' time? Then the other thing is that do you have the financial capacity to operate, to maintain, to do remedial work, or to even do an outright replacement of that asset? These are all what you need to consider before you can start formulating your strategy for managing an asset. Because what if you actually needed to make a replacement, and at that period in time you don't have the financial capacity, you don't have the money at your disposal to make that replacement, and if you're actually going to do that, it's becoming more or less like a liability, or it's actually going to impact on your bottom line. These are all what you need to consider before you can formulate your strategy on how to manage your assets. And I said something earlier on that facility manager and the asset manager, they work hand in hand. And based on company decision of policy, the asset management aspect of the company policy can be put under a facility manager. And if the company is financially buoyant enough, they can decide that, okay, fine, let's have a facility manager separate and let's have an asset manager separate. But there's no harm. The two of them will not be working together in terms of sharing of information, because the difference is in the scope of application. Asset management is applied to both core and support business processes. Core means that, for instance, let me take Nigerian Brewery for an instance. If I happen to be a facility manager in Nigerian Brewery, my core operation work is to ensure that all the equipment, all the machines, all the lines that are using in the production of beer are always available as at when need. But when it comes to how the equipment are being procured, how the equipment is being, how we decide on when we need to replace that particular asset, how we deal with depreciation is the core responsibility of an asset manager. So the main focus of FM as far as asset is concerned is to ensure that the assets are well maintained, well operated, and is always ready available to be used at when due. You also, part of your responsibility to ensure that this same asset, as when it is meeting up with its original design in terms of performance, in terms of throughput. Throughput in the sense that, okay, I have an asset, I have a production line that's supposed to yield 10,000 bags of cement per day. Am I actually getting 10,000 bags of cement? So if I happen to be a facility manager in that kind of Dangote cement, my main operation content is that to ensure that I have the availability of all the assets being used in the production of those products. They must be available as at when due. They must be operating at their what? At their expected rates, and they must be producing expected or required designed production rates on a daily basis. So on an operational level, both FM, which is facility manager, and an asset manager manage many services in the area of maintenance, operations, safety, logistics, and technical infrastructure. Both asset manager and facility managers also use shared management concepts like asset utilization rate, asset register, asset replacement value, total cost of ownership, critical condition index. They utilize similar analytical technique, method, procedure, IT, and solutions. How? The asset manager can walk up to the facility manager and ask the facility manager that, okay, how much have we expended on this particular equipment? Or how much have we expended on this particular asset ever since it has been produced? How much have we spent in maintaining this building after its construction? How much have we spent on painting? How much have we spent on plumbing work? How much have we spent on electrical work? What are those things that we've been putting in place to ensure sustainability of this particular building? These are all information at the disposal of the facility manager, in which the asset manager could be in need of it at any point in time in order to make a business decision on either to do a remedial work on that asset, carry out a remedial work, or go for an actual replacement of that particular asset. And there's no how you talk about assets, you won't talk about the asset life cycle. And I always try as much as possible to use an acronym which I refer to as BAD, B-A-G, BAD. I use the word BAD. B stands for the word birth, A stands for alive, and D stands for death. There is no amount of reliability, maintainability that is being built into a product or an asset. No amount of maintenance you put in place. There is no how this asset will not become of age. And when this asset becomes of age, it loses in efficiency. And when it loses in efficiency, it cannot meet up with what expected yield anymore. And when it cannot meet up with the expected yield or rate or design specification, that means the asset is becoming old. And when the asset becomes old, it is either you decommission the asset or you sell off the asset. So when you procure the asset, you install the asset and you commission the asset. That is when the asset is being given birth to. Then along the line, you do what is called operation and maintenance. That is when the asset is alive. Then when the asset becomes old, that means the asset is dead. You either decommission the asset or you revive. It all depends. But when the cost of revamping and the cost of actual replacement is almost the same thing, it is of economic importance to make sure you go forward outright replacement. And when we are talking about total cost of ownership, before you have an asset, there is something that is referred to as planning. The cost you incur during the planning stage, during the production stage, during the manufacturing stage, during the installation and commissioning, operation and maintenance, and decommissioning is the total cost of ownership of an asset. And when you decommission an asset, you stand the chance of either you use that to recoup money back into the what? Into the company, or you are actually spending money out. For instance, you have fleet of cars within your facility, and this car, based on depreciation, their book value is actually saying zero. When their book value is saying zero, you could sell this car out to either staff or to a third party at a cheaper rate. And you can use that one to recoup money back into the organization. But you have a building that's already been dilapidated, and you need to bring this building down. Bringing the building down might require you to get a company that is expert in that area, that have all the necessary tools in order to carry out that kind of demolition. If you're bringing down a 10-story building, you can't just go ahead outside there and get Malam to go and handle that for you. You need a reputable organization who are specialized in that particular area to come and handle that project. And that might require you to get safety approval. You might need to get legal practitioner. You might need to get experts to come and assess it. Then these are kind of decommissioning that you do, and you still have to like spend money. So both asset manager and facility manager are involved when it comes to asset decommissioning. And what are those things that differentiate a facility, an asset manager, and a facility manager? One, the type of asset they manage differentiate them. Possibly, a facility manager in an estate environment is different from an asset manager in the banking industry who manage the liquid cash of investors on their behalf. The purpose of the asset they manage, the life cycle of the asset, the organizational goal of the asset, or what is the investors are expecting from that asset. Then the assigned scope of operation. These are the 5 parameters that differentiate an asset manager from what? A facility manager. I've already explained to us what an asset life cycle is. It is when the asset is being commissioned and installed and commissioned, the asset is put into operation and maintenance. Then when the asset becomes old, you do the commissioning or you sell off the assets. Then asset register. For you to have an effective asset management strategy, policy, procedure, processes in place, it must be as a result of good asset register. And when you're talking about asset register is something that it must be done. And in case you happen to be a facility manager in any business environment, if the asset register is not available, you need to quickly get one job, because that is the only one of the ways you can have an effective facility management. You need to have a good and a quality asset register in place. And what is asset register? Asset register is a record that clearly identifies all the assets of a business, all what the business owns as an asset. It also allows business owner to quickly retrieve information on the assets. Information in the sense that what is the make of that asset, what is the model of that asset, who is the manufacturer of that asset, when was the asset bought, how much was the asset procured, when was the asset commissioned, when does the asset started operation, then what is the expected life cycle of that asset, then when we are disposing of that asset, are we actually spending money out or we are recouping money back into the organization? And if we are to spend money out, what is estimated cost that we're going to incur in disposing of that particular asset? Then show the value of the asset, the date of acquisition, and other details to compute for depreciation and tax purpose. Every asset has a depreciation value. And it is until when you have depreciated the asset until it becomes 0 naira, that's when you can start talking about profitability. That's when you can say you have already broken even. For instance, if I want to construct a 32 block of flat in an estate, and I took a loan from bank, I constructed this estate, this block of flat, and I expect tenants to occupy this block block of flats. The more occupants I have in that estate, the more I'm able to get money. But the money I'm actually recouping, there's going to be a depreciation that will be calculated on each of the assets in each of the block of flats in the whole of their estates, until when I have paid all the money that I've expended in getting these estates into operation. That is when I can start talking about profitability as a business owner. It also allows you to keep track of assets and provide a fair estimate of the worth of that particular asset. And what is the purpose of assets register? One, it helps us to keep record of the company assets, their respective values and attributes. Then it also helps us to simplify record keeping. The register becomes a reference for business decisions and business purposes. It can also be used for depreciation purposes to also verify the existence of all assets. So you know where your asset is passed at any point in time. Okay, for instance, we have 5 generators in our estates in Abuja. We have 4 generators in our estates in Ghana. We have 3 in Malaysia. So we know the location of these generators as an asset. We know the generator or the location of all our oil rigs. We know the locations where all our pumps are located. And it also helps us to keep a master list of what is there and where they are being held. Where are the location of those particular assets? Air condition, we have air condition in all our estates. Where are those air conditions? What is their current condition as well? Then when you are trying to create an asset register, what are those things you needed? Then you need to decide and confirm the purpose of the assets register. What is the purpose of the assets register to your organization? Then identify by performing physical audits or work around. Create an account record for each of the assets and conduct periodic audits in order to ensure you are not having what is referred to as ghost assets. At least your assets are available and they are always ready to be used when need be. When the asset is no longer useful again and you need to like eliminate the asset or decommission the asset from the asset list, you have to get that done alongside with the asset register as well, so that you know that that asset is no longer appearing on your asset list anymore, so that by the time you are doing your budgeting, you are actually not budgeting for an asset that is no longer available within your organization. And what are those items that is expected to be seen in our asset register? The name of the asset, the capacity of the asset, the model number of the asset. For instance, you have a car. What type of a car? Is it a saloon? Is it a space bus? Is it an SUV? So what is the model? What is the serial number? The asset location? So it all depends on the company that you will find ourselves. If I find myself as a facility manager in GIG Motor, when I'm talking about serial number, I will be talking about the chassis number of the vehicle. Or somebody that happens to be a facility manager in the real estate, we'll be talking about, in terms of serial number, we'll be talking about block of flat, flat A, or block 1, flat 1, block 1, flat 2, block 3, flat, block 1, flat 3, block 1, flat 4, depending on the number of flats that each of the block is what occupied. The asset location, if I managing a real estate in like 10 locations in Lagos State, which location is that asset located? Yaba, Lagos Island, Ikeja, Tulere. Then, what is the current condition of the asset? What is the purchasing price? Date of purchase? Who is the manufacturer? Asset description, insurance coverage, warranty information. And this warranty information, I try as much as possible to advise facility manager, please. If any contractor or any supplier is telling you, is giving you 10 years, 4 years, 3 years warranty on any particular asset, please try to ask the supplier to give you what are the items covered under warranty on that particular asset. And the items warranty period, is it 1 month? Is it 2 months? Is it 6 months? This is very, very key, because Somebody will tell you it's giving you 2 years warranty, and when the asset fails, they try to tell you that that is what particularly failed on that asset is consumable, not major part. That's not covered under warranty. Let the warranty start of be spelled out before you sign an agreement. The date asset is placed in service, that is talking about the decommissioning date. Expected life of the asset and the salvage value. If you have to sell off the asset, how much are you going to get back from the selling of that asset? And if you have to dispose of that asset, how much are you going to spend in disposing of that particular asset? Then assign asset identification number. When you want to assign identification number to an asset, you can do it in an analog way, and you can do it digital way. Digital way in the sense that it involves using a CAFM software. That is computer-aided facility management software that deals with an asset. Whichever one, if you're actually going to use analog, it all depends on company decision. Because if your company is not that as expanded as it ought to be, there's no need of you going to software kind of asset management. The best you can do as at that point in time is that you can maintain an Excel spreadsheet for your asset. And when you want to assign identification number to your asset, in case of a real estate, you can use block 1, flat 1, AC number 1, block 1, flat 2, AC number 1, or let's take flat 1 for instance. Block 1, flat 1, AC number 1, block 1, flat 1, AC number 2. In case you have like 5 air conditioning within that flat 1, we can number it up to what? Up to 5. And assuming we have another block of flats in an estate in Abuja, we can use LA for Lagos State as a suffix, as a prefix, and we can use ABJ for Abuja. For instance, we have in Abeokuta, we can use ABK, just an abbreviation, and we can assign a unique code to each of our assets one at a time. So that if I'm talking about computer and I open the Excel spreadsheet where computer are being listed, I can easily pinpoint which of the computer is it the computer that is given to Mr. Wale, or the computer that is given to Engineer Kiola Imare. That's the one we're talking about. These are all what you stand to gain when you have a good asset register. An organization needs an asset register to, 1, process the pursuit of an asset in accordance with the organization authorization and record keeping purposes. So with the asset register, you can know when the asset has been procured, how long the asset has been in service, and the reason why the asset is actually due for the replacement. Maintain an adequate accounting record of asset cost, description, and where they are kept in the organization. It also helps an organization to maintain accurate record for calculating depreciation. It also helps an organization to provide a useful information to the management in order to help plan for future asset or reinvestment. And it also serves as a record. It records the retirement and disposal of assets. When asset is disposed of, you record it, and you ensure that that asset register is no longer part of an asset because it has already been disposed of. So type of a physical asset include your office equipment, which we've already mentioned, motor vehicle, furniture, computer, communication system, and other physical assets that you can easily touch or hold or feel. So the difference between asset and inventory, like I mentioned earlier on, an inventory or consumable has less than 12 calendar months, but an asset has life cycle beyond 12 calendar months. But you can take the inventory of your asset, you can take the inventory of your consumables. The reason why you are taking the inventory of your asset, you call it auditing. You want to know, if you're saying you are having 35 assets, you want to ensure that that 35 assets are the location where they are actually working, where they are actually serving their purposes. That's why you carry out your inventory. And also, when you do your asset auditing, like an inventory at the same time, you are trying to ensure that you are not having a ghost asset, so that you won't be budgeting for an asset that is no longer in operation, that is no longer available. There's no longer physically available in the entire organization. Then when you take inventory of your consumable, you are actually doing that in order not to run out. And what are your consumables? Your pen, your biro you're using in the office, your pencil, your staple pen, your stapler, your printing paper. These are all consumables. Like your diesel, your gas, your water. These are all consumables. You take inventory of them in order for you not to run. These are all referred to as inventory. Your assets register could be costing you, or somebody drop a comment. I guess you need to check your network. Can every other person confirm if you can hear me, please? Because somebody said you can't hear me.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. So
yeah, but there was discussion before. There was discussion before.
Okay. So
We
Mr.
lost
Usman, I guess you may need to check your network.
There was discussion before. Network was before. Can't hear you before.
Okay. Okay. So your asset can be costing in the sense that you could be depreciating for an asset that is no longer in existence in your organization. You could be making budget for operation and maintenance on a yearly basis for an asset that is no longer in use or is no longer even physically available in the organization. And how? If you have a lost asset, an asset that has been lost can be costing you, an asset that has been stolen or is no longer usable. But you see, and it still appear on the company asset register. And these are also referred to as what? Ghost assets. These are referred to as ghost assets. And there was a survey that was carried out, and it's discovered that according to asset management resources, nearly every company has a problem with lost assets, estimating that on an average of 10 to 30% of assets are in fact lost assets. You can imagine 30% or 20% of your entire organization assets. You can see how huge the money is. And what are the danger of lost assets? One, you're going to have inaccurate balance sheet because on the monthly basis, when you are doing your balance sheet, you'll be catering for, you're actually going to cater for an asset that is no longer in existence in your organization. Lots of productivity because you use your asset availability to plan what is going to be your daily production rate, but not knowing that this particular asset you are already thinking that they are going to help you or support you in achieving your daily production rate are no longer what? In existence, or they are no longer in what? In service. Then 2, 3, added expenses. You're actually budgeting for an asset that is no longer in circulation in the organization. Inaccurate CapEx budgeting. CapEx means capital expenditure. Asset misappropriation work from. These are all what you stand to lose when you have a loss or ghost asset within your organization. Then, how do you store your assets and retrieve information about your assets? Like I said earlier on, you could assign a unique string to your asset. You could use the analog method and you can use the digital method. But when you are going to use software for your asset management, there are 4 things you need to consider. The very first one is that what are those information you want to retrieve from the software you want to use? The output or the information or the result you want to retrieve from that software will determine what type of software you're going to use, because there are several numbers of asset management software in the market today. And there's no asset management software that have advantage that doesn't have an advantage. But the information you want to retrieve from that software will determine which of the software you're going to use. Then 2, do you have the financial capacity to procure, train your staff, and pay also for the yearly license of operating that software? Then 3, does the software provider stand the chance of giving you after-sales service? Are they willing to train your staff? Then after they have implemented, they have installed the software and they have trained your staff and they have implemented it, are they willing to give you after-sales service? That Barakat is using a software for his asset management doesn't mean I, Mr. Engineer Kenana, will use the same thing. It doesn't indicate or it doesn't mean Mr. Edwin will use the same software. The organization requirement will determine the kind of software you're going to use. If you are in an oil and gas environment, the software you might be using for your asset might not be the same thing with somebody that is happen to be in the real estate will be using for his own asset management. And like I said earlier on, the purpose and the information you actually want to retrieve from that software will determine which of the software you're going to go for. And at the same time, the organization structure, what the organization is actually into will also determine the kind of software you want to use for your asset management. Organizations can face huge risks when assets are operated without asset information. Yeah, Mr. Victoria Foster, you're going to have access to the record. You can link up with Barakat. In many organizations, keeping accurate detail of assets is an ongoing challenge. And this is compounded by assets often being situated at different geographical locations, poor record of changes. For instance, we're moving an asset from our Lagos office to Maiduguri office. Once that asset is leaving Lagos office, that asset must go alongside with its asset register down to Maiduguri office. If I'm relocating an asset from Maiduguri office back to Ibadan office, the asset that is coming from Maiduguri must come alongside with its asset register to Ibadan. So, as update asset register, you need to keep your asset register up to date every time. Once you do your asset auditing, you must update your asset register. A poor definition of what constitutes a physical asset. So you don't take an inventory as an asset. You must be able to differentiate between the two. You must be able to differentiate between an asset and an inventory. So let me try to say these are all documents that can help you to formulate your asset register, the payment manual, the warranty terms, as-built drawing, the master asset list, and asset tagging. So these are all what can help you to formulate and design your own unique code for your assets. And let me try to digress a bit and say something about this as-built drawing. When you are talking about as-built drawing is different from engineering drawing. You get an engineering drawing at the beginning of a project. That is when you get an engineering drawing. Then you get an as-built drawing when the project is completed. The as-built drawing expatiates and it tells you alterations that has already occurred during the project period, and it tells you these are all your layout as far as your electrical wiring is concerned, as far as your mechanical layout is concerned, as
Can you guys hear me?
I can't hear a thing.
That's all.
I can hear.
Okay, yes. Sorry, good evening, all. The facilitator is experiencing network issue now. So we'll just go on our break, economics break now, and we'll return at exactly 6:02 p.m. Thank you.
Yes, let's let our governor beg. Who have any governor in mind?
Sorry for that.
Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. So, sir, we decided to go on
Okay,
a
okay,
break while you're trying to solve the
okay.
network. So we're expected to get back at 6:02 p.m.
This is already 5:56. We should be back by 6:06.
Hello. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So let's observe the 10-minute break. We should be back by 6:06. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Well, welcome from that short break. Please, brother, Akas, confirm you can see my slide.
Yes, sir. I can see your slide.
Okay. Remember before we went on break, this is part of what we discussed that, okay, you can use you can assign your own personal code to your asset. It must be each of the assets within the entire organization. You can't use one single code for two items at the same time. And you can use the name of business, you can use country name, city name, building, like what I said earlier on. You can use block 1, flat 1, block 1, flat 2, block 1, flat 3, block 1, flat 4. Likewise, you can use LA for your locations in Lagos, IB for Ibadan, AB for Abia State, SK for Sokoto State. You can determine yours. And you can use, part of what you can use is, now you have computer-based asset monitoring. Assets are critical components of any business organization, but tracking those assets can be one of the most time-consuming parts of the entire workflow. But now there are a lot of software in place now that when you want to conduct asset audits, it makes it easier. It makes your job easier rather than the normal paperwork. And this helps you to streamline work. It helps employee to work more efficiently and productively. And what is asset tracking tools? Enable organizations to track asset maintenance and their location, save valuable time and eliminate the need for spreadsheets. When you're using software, you may not need to use spreadsheet, but you can still be using spreadsheet. It all depends on how financial capable your organization is. Then the other thing that most companies consider is that how expansive is the organization. If you are having just only one location alone, it doesn't make any economic reason why you need to be wasting that kind of money. But if you are having several numbers of assets located in several numbers of area within the country, outside the country, then you can go for software based. Ensure proper inventory management. These are all what you start to gain when you're using computer-based asset monitoring. These are all asset software you can use. Alphanumeric tag, barcode, infrared tagging, and you can use quick response code tag. That is QR code. And these are all pictorial view of those code that I've mentioned. This is barcode. This is RFID, which is infrared identification. Then there are several numbers, like I said earlier on, your CMMS, which is computerized maintenance management system, is like a baby under CAFM. And I said CAFM stands for Computer Aided Facility Management. So CMMS is just like a baby under CAFM. Like when you're talking about operation and maintenance of assets, you can use a software called Unico, use PSDI, data stream, Prism, Aspen, you can use Micromain, you can use Facility Wizard. Then we are talking about property management. You have Picnet, you have our building, you have race-centric, you have SiteStop. And when you are talking about finance software, you are talking about Equity City, Redbase, Capital Engine, talking about building system management, you talk about eChoiceNet, EnergyBuyer.com. These are all software you can use. These are all classified as computerized, computer-aided facility management. That is CAFM. But your CMMS, which is computerized maintenance management system, is completely under maintenance and operation as far as asset management is concerned. So when you want to go software as far as your asset management, you need to consider what is referred to as implementation. The implementation should be, you need to start asking the question, what are those challenges you are actually going to come across when you want to implement this? Are your people going to buy into using that software? What stress does that software pose? what is the economic advantage of that software? What does the company stand to gain in implementing that software, in installing that software? So an organization should consider the assets their business needs, decide on system implementation objective, identify system requirements, then what will be done with the information from the system? That is, what are the information you want to extract from the system that you want to put in place? Then, what is the purchase cost? Then, by the time you put all these, ask all these questions, and you put all the measures, and you have what it takes, then you can go ahead and procure. That is the implementation plan. Then we are talking about implementation activity. When you are implementing it, what is the implementation period? What are the challenges you are going to encounter during the implementation period? How do you manage the change management? Because people are already using analog before. Now you want to install a software. Do you need to send your team or the end user on skill training on how to operate that software? Do they have the computerized, computer-based knowledge on how to operate that software? What are those things you need to put in place? During the implementation period, how does people work? Do they need to be working from home? And if they are actually going to work from home, what is going to be the reporting method? Then, how long will the transition period take? How long will it take you to migrate from the old system you are using before to the current one you want to implement? Then, after you have implemented that software, you need to do what you call implementation review. Implementation review in the sense that the new software that you put in place, what is the difference between the new software and what you actually did before? How has this new software been helping the organization in achieving the aim and the purpose of that? Then team to be up to date in terms of using this software. Then post-implementation involves continuous process monitoring. You keep monitoring and checking, continuous staff training and retraining, quality and assurance conducted on the inputs, continuous promoting the safety value towards the system value to the staff. You need to keep telling staff what are the positive advantage of the new software you've already put in place. And you need to keep training and you keep training. Some company might go to the extent of sending some few staff for the training. The staff that are being sent for training comes back to come and train other staff. So the bottom line here is that the facility management system aren't just about the software. Every staff should be made to see the value of the system, and hence an organization should put everything in place to ensure the system is being used efficiently. It is not all about putting the system in place. It's not about buying the system. It's about buying, implement, and ensure the system is being used to the desired value. So what are the benefits of your computerized maintenance management system? You know, like I said, your computerized maintenance management system deals with the aspect of operation and maintenance as far as asset is concerned alone. And it is only with this CMMS that you are able to plan your maintenance activities, your preventive maintenance, your reactive maintenance, your preventive maintenance, your predictive maintenance, and your proactive maintenance. It also helps you to manage your work order. You know, there is work request and there is work order. An approved work request is what is called a work order. So when a work order is being made, which on your CMMS software, you can log in a request. And with that request logged in, on that CMMS software, you can approve that work request and turn it to what? A work order. And with that work order, a planner can take that work order, plan how to do the maintenance work, know the number of maintenance staff that will carry out that job task, what are the spare parts requirements, and which date are we going to carry out that maintenance task. These are all what you can do with your CMMS. And it eliminates a lot of processes of going through paperwork, all these spaghetti kind of bureaucracy. Supervisor had to sign, maintenance technician raised work order, doctor sign, after supervisor sign, it goes to maintenance manager, from there it goes to facility manager, from there it goes to warehouse manager sign, before spare parts are being issued out. it reduces a lot of all these spaghetti bureaucratic kind of processes in an organization. It's also helping to keep finger on the pulse of the organization, ensure compliance with what? Regulatory standards. It's also helping to increase productivity in the sense that with CMMS, you can plan your maintenance work effectively. And when you plan your maintenance work effectively, you stand the chance of having what is referred to as availability. And when you gain in availability in terms of your assets, productivity becomes what? Increase. You can produce as per what you want per day. And with that, with good maintenance structure in place, you stand the chance of having your equipment life extended. And at the same time, you are going to have less breakdown time and less equipment failure. With less breakdown time, less equipment failure, you have what is referred to as what? Availability. And once availability is available, production is what? Less tampered with. You can produce in line with your what? With your budget. And once you can produce in line with your budget, you have enough product to sell to customer. With enough you can start profitability. When you want to implement just like other cafe software, you must get approval from. Hello?
We can hear you, sir. Go on, sir.
Okay, sorry for that. I think it's network issue. I'm trying to like switch over to another
The
network.
weather.
Possibly. So I try to like operate with two softwares. So CMMS implementation phase, just like we rarely say when we're talking about CAFM. Project planning, data migration. Data migration means you're moving from your analog assets register to your digital assets register to your CMMS, and you put the name of each of the assets in the software. And with each of the assets in the software, you can tell about. You can also program when you need to conduct preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance, reactive maintenance, proactive maintenance on each of those items. Then core configuration, which is mainly the task of an IT personnel. They are the ones that have the access to the administrative core configuration of the what? Of the software. Process design, practical testing, and manage what? Results. So managing results is pulling out the information that you have from the already installed and implemented software. Then what are the challenges that you come encounter with CMMS? Features and functions. Features and functions mean a pumping machine as an asset will not appear in a physical form of a pumping machine or in CMMS. It will be represented with a symbol. Then your people need to get themselves used to those symbols so that they know that once they see that symbol, they know this is what this one means. Or when they see a breaker, if the feature of a breaker when they see unify a generator, then the system of the flex easily operates so have an existing software in place and you are trying to migrate party system security, because if you have an enormous and elaborate asset You need to have what is referred to as system for security, because the data on those systems are very, very vital to your day-to-day operation. Then data security, because when you lose in terms of your data, it's going to tamper with your decision in terms of what you needed to do and when you actually needed to get that done. Then what is the difference between your CAFE, which is your computer-aided facility management, and other facility management systems like your CMMS? Not to confuse you, a computerized maintenance management system with what? A CAFE. Consider an office in the workplace, ensuring that the office is properly inspected, maintained, and repaired are completely computerized maintenance management system activity. But when you are talking about staff, you're talking about the office content in terms of chair, table, locker, desk, which including movement of these assets from one location to the other. And you're talking about equipment connection in terms of electrical, your fire extinguisher, your fire alarm system, your mechanical, your low voltage panel, your distribution board, your staff reception time, and tagging in. These are all related to computerized, computer-aided facility management software. That is the difference between the two. But CMMS is just like a sum to CAFE. Then, like we said earlier on about asset lifecycle, which I use the word VAG for, which is bad. That's talking about the bad, the alive, and when the asset is what? Dealt. Development and asset management policy. And it's an integral and multidisciplinary approach in recommended while developing the policy. And it's also talking about the clear direction of asset management to ensure a service delivery need for and the basis for asset management. A life cycle approach is incorporated to an asset management in order to achieve sustainability. What is the benefit of strategic approach to asset management? One, you are able to allocate resources. You know the right manpower to use for the right activity within the organization. It improves alignment of assets with service and organizational expectation to use to put in place that will help you to achieve the organization expectation or the organization goal. Better integration of service planning and asset planning. Improve processes and accountability for capital and recurrent work. More effective use and maintenance of assets. These are all related to asset planning, decision making. Then, when you're talking about the birth of an asset, when an asset is commissioned and when an asset is installed and is put into operation and maintenance, I said it, there's no amount of maintainability you give to an asset, no amount of services you give to an asset. One way or the other, the asset will become old. And when the asset becomes old, that means you need to either dispose of the asset. And when you are talking about asset disposal, you're talking about sales, demolition, or relocation. And when you're talking about relocation is all about the decommission. But you need to decommission the asset at current place of usage before you can now recommission. When you're talking about asset disposal plan, it's a plan that documents the activities and the cost that goes along with each of those activities when you want to dispose of an asset. For instance, I have a 10-story building skyscraper that I need to demolish. What are the costs that need to go with that demolition? One, I need to move out all the furniture fitting within that building. At what cost with that? I will need to assign cost to that. After doing that, when I've already removed everything, I need to get rid of all electrical wiring within that building. I need to assign cost to that. And each of these breakdown of activity, I need to assign cost to each of them. Then when it now comes to breaking down the entire building structure, at what cost will I expended, will I get this done? This might require me to get safety approval, it might require me to get a legal backup and some other things. Then general part of a comprehensive asset management plan. Then any activity that is associated with disposal or the commissioner of an asset, such as sales, selling of an asset, demolition of an asset and relocation of an asset has to be planned ahead of that period or that time. Your asset disposal plan should include forecast of the timing for future asset disposal, cash flow forecast, identify income. Maybe you are actually going to recoup money back into the organization, or you are actually going to spend money out. Time asset disposal to ensure that replace assets are operational. If you are actually going to replace an asset with another one, you must ensure that the asset you are bringing in is actually performing the task of what the assisting asset is doing. I want to move a luxurious bus that happens to be a staff bus from Abuja office down to Lagos office, and I need to decommission the one that I'm using in Lagos. The one that I'm moving in from Abuja must be able to perform the task the current one in Lagos that I'm going to decommission is doing, and must be able to perform extended above what I'm decommissioning is also doing. Ready to absorb the workload of the decommissioned assets. I'm moving a luxurious bus down to Lagos. I must not try to see, I want to move a coastal bus. I can use a luxurious bus to replace a coastal bus, but I can't use a coastal bus to replace a luxurious bus because a coastal bus takes less than number of passengers compared to a luxurious bus. I have a 200 kg. I want to relocate to another place. I can replace it with another
component of a sound asset management plan, since disposal cost can be as much as 5% of the full life cycle cost of the asset. So your asset disposal plan has to be planned, and you need to assign cost to it. What is replacement cost of value? The amount to pay, the amount you are recouping in, or you are spending out, the amount to pay to replace an asset at the present time according to its current worth. What is the current value of that asset? What is the worth of that asset? So that is the amount to pay in order to replace that asset, and you have to consider its current worth. Understanding asset replacement cost, as certain assets approaches the end of their life, the end of their useful life, expenditure to replace the asset need to be what? As anticipated. And most of the time, if you are having insurance coverage, you can make use of your insurance coverage in order to ensure that you are actually not spending huge amount of money in terms of replacing that asset. If you are still having an insurance coverage of that asset, you can leverage on that insurance coverage, and that will still help you to reduce the cost of replacing that particular asset. And asset tracking. Why do you need to track your asset? You need to track your asset because you don't want to have what is referred to as ghost assets. And ghost assets, like we earlier mentioned, are assets that we believe that they are still in our organization, but they are no longer in existence. These are assets that have been stolen, or assets that have been what? They have been rendered redundant, and they are no longer useful for the organization anymore. And this will also enable more efficiency in planning. And when you are tracking your assets, it enables scheduling of necessary maintenance or services for equipment at appropriate times as at when the need arises. Then, when you want to set up your asset tracking system, you need to consider how many assets you need to track, what type of asset are you tracking, where are the assets located, how many locations do you have, then are these assets already labeled? If they are already labeled, what type of tagging do you want to use? Do you want to use the analog tagging? You want to use the digital tagging like RFID, like your QR scan code? Do you need real-time? Real-time update means you're going to have a cloud app in which on the palm, you can download the application on your phone, and once audit is being done, once the audit is being carried out, as soon as the asset is being scanned, you can have the information about that asset on your phone at the same time. And the real-time update is like you have an asset on the oil rig, you can be tracking those assets on your phone without you doing a physical inspection. Then what type of reporting will you need from that system? What are the information you want to extract from that software that you are extracting? These are all what you need to consider when you are tracking your assets. And this brings us to the end of this module that we'll be discussing today. You have an assessment to attend to here, but this assessment is not meant to be discussed in this class. So in case you have any question, just try as much as possible to ensure that the question is not in relation to this assessment. And you can link up with Barakat to ask her on how you are going to go about submitting your assessment and when you need to submit your assessment. So I'm going to leave room for question and answer now. And like I earlier mentioned in the initial stage before we start, your question and answer, you should signify by raising up your hand. I'll call on you, then you can go ahead and ask your question. Please kindly signify by raising up your hand, then I'll call on you, then you can ask your question. Okay, maybe I will need to start calling us one by one. Mr. Edwin. Okay, I have somebody raising up. Mr. Usman Abdullah, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, engineer.
Good evening, Mr. Abdullah.
Okay. This is quite interesting. It's getting interesting every lecture by lecture, you know.
Okay.
And looking forward to more in-depth of this training.
Okay,
the
sir.
first question I would like to ask is concerning some of this topic like this asset management. Are we going to have like something like a template for the asset register, or we are still just going to work based on the point?
Kindly link up with Barakat. I think Barakat will be of help in that area. I think we have we have a design stuff that we're currently using. Barakat.
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Okay.
I will share the template in the group.
So, Mr. Osman, I hope that answers your question, sir.
Yes, very well, sir. Very well, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now.
Mr. Madam Modupe Ladipo.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you very
Kenny
much,
Edwin,
sir.
I'll come to you. Mr. Madam Dupe, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you for a very elaborate lecture, sir. I really enjoyed it. Quick one, I just want to ask, you said inventory has a lifespan of 12 months or a year, while assets do not have. From my understanding of what inventory is like maybe taking note of, okay, the state of how the building is, right? Maybe the handle of the door or the number of chairs and what have you. So I really did not, like, I'm not clear on that differentiation between inventory and then assets. Thank you.
Okay. I said an asset can retain its value beyond a 12 calendar month. But an inventory is something that you can consume in less than 12 calendar months. You made mention of a door. What makes a door is the door frame, the architrave at the back, the door lock. When you are doing maintenance on this door, most of the time, the only thing you change on that door is either the door lock or maybe the wooden architrave at the back of it. But what may constitute the door as an asset is the combination of the door lock, the architrave, and the door frame on its own. And these are not something you change every now and then. The only thing you change on that door is the door lock. So on a door, The door is an asset, but the door lock is a consumable. Because you could fix a door lock today, in less than 6 months, you might need to change that door lock again. So you have a distribution board. That distribution board is an asset, but the breakers inside are consumable. These are something you change. The breaker could fail, you remove it and replace it with another one. That is a consumable. Your electric standing fan is an asset, but the blade of that fan is a consumable. The cord of that fan is a consumable. The standing, the stand of that fan is a consumable. But this constitutes all together as what? As an asset. Because if you buy a fan today, that doesn't mean you are going to replace that fan tomorrow. The only thing you need to be doing on that fan is what you refer to as maintenance. I hope that answers your question, madam.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Hello, Madam Odupe.
Yes, sir.
What do you say?
I'm clear, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Kenny, Mr. Edwin.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Thank you, sir, for today's
Good evening, Mr. Edwin.
Thank you, sir. Actually, from what you mentioned on asset management, when it comes to procurement of goods and other things, when those who are in charge of procurement and the FM managers also are meant to be aware of what is going on, is it possible for two of them to connect to do some study deals in it and give inaccurate reports? Because since the FM is taking note of what is happening now, where do one lie in that place? What action can one take when it comes to such matters? Because when you talk about assets, it doesn't necessarily mean monetary terms. It can also mean other things, other valuable things that one can easily take from the company and make money out of it. So what role can one do to make sure that all those things are kept in good record?
Sorry, Mr. Edwin, come up with your question again, please.
Okay. Now, for those who are under procurement department, and you as the FM manager,
okay,
you are doing overseeing what is going on, and if money is not coming towards you, but you are aware of all the inventories, the things that are being kept in the storeroom, and those things are more valuable in monetary terms. And if you're not taking into all those things, because they are also part of assets which the company use to generate income, peradventure one of those things come missing, does that mean that the FM is not doing its actual job in that aspect? Or what can it be said? That is, the asset is not well managed. How can we help such a situation?
Okay. Now let me start by saying this. It all depends on company wise. Some company can decide that every asset related to facility, every facility requirement are to be procured by the facility manager. And some company might decide that procurement of even a single pen lies in the hand of procurement department for the whole entire organization. So now, if the company decide that, okay, for us to procure anything, it has to go through procurement department. For instance, let me take a pumping machine for an instance. A pumping machine is an asset. If you as a facility manager, you need a pumping machine to be used in one of the estates, you need to send a detailed information about what is the size of the pump. Is it a service pump? Is it a submersible pump? What is the make that you want? You send all this information to the procurement department. Now, the function of the procurement department is now to ensure that they procure that pumping machine on your behalf and hand it over to you. Now, the operation and maintenance of this pumping machine becomes your core responsibility as a facility manager. Don't forget, the two of you shared information about what you actually want. Then once this pumping machine is being procured, the finance department takes a note of this and they start doing what is referred to as depreciation on that pumping machine on a monthly basis. Then you at your end, you need to keep a track record of every penny that you are incurring in keeping this pumping machine in service day in, day out. Because by the time you approach the finance department and says, I need to replace this pumping machine, the first question is, when was this pumping machine procured? How much was it procured? How much have we spent in maintaining this pumping machine? So every reasonable maintenance personnel or facility personnel knows that I need to have a track record of every bit of penny that I'm spending on any asset, because this is what I'm going to use to justify the need for me to replace a particular asset. So when you're talking about inventory, it may not necessarily be your sole responsibility. It all depends. If your company is not expanded enough, you could be the one that will be in charge of your inventory, like your diesel, your gas, your water. They are completely your core responsibility, because the third service provider that is providing you all this inventory are charging you, and these are coming at a cost. So when you are getting supply of diesel, it has to be your sole responsibility. You are the one that will collect the diesel and send the necessary information to finance department that this is the quantity of diesel that I procure. This is the amount you should pay for. And that's why you have to take all these at what? High esteem. Because the information you give them is what they are going to use in order to what? To make payment. I hope that provides an answer to your question, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir, very much, sir.
Okay. I think I saw somebody, one other person that raised up his hand the other time.
I think that was Mr. Adebola Abiodun.
Okay, Mr. Adebola, please go ahead with your question.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Adebola.
Thanks for the class. It's really thoughtful. Thanks so much. I want to ask a question. In a situation when we have been employed to an organization as a facility manager, and they've been...
Come again, sir.
I said in a situation where I've been employed to an organization as a facility manager, and they've been keeping their asset management record.
Yeah, Mr. Adebola, come again without your questions.
Okay. For instance, I'm newly employed to an organization.
Okay.
Facility manager. Then going through their management record, I discovered that most of these assets, I can't find them physical, maybe due to one reason or the other. Is there anything like asset management audit, or how do I go about that?
The first thing is for you to conduct asset audits. And with that asset audit, you'll be able to come up with your own asset register. Then
most of these assets, I can't
management information. What is it?
So I'm asking, is there anything like asset audit, or how will I go up?
Yes, you can conduct asset audits. Asset auditing means that you visit each of the locations that you are assigned to and make a list of all the assets that are available there and communicate that same to the management. These are this location. These are all the list of assets that are available. Then with that, you are already helping the company out. With that, company now come to know that this thing we bought, why is it not in that place? Because you are new. And because of doing that, it also helps you as a facility manager, because you come to understand what are the assets you have in your portfolio, what are their current status, where are those assets located, what are the preventive maintenance strategy you need to put in place to ensure that the assets are being available for use as at when necessary. So the first thing you need to do is that conduct your auditing, make a list of your asset that is available, and develop an asset register for each and every asset that is available, and communicate the same to the top management. These are what you find.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're much welcome, Mr. Abiodun. Any other question? Okay. In the absence of no question, we're actually going to meet again on Friday, where we shall be dealing with facility condition assessment. We're going to discuss about the purpose of facility condition assessment. Why do we need to conduct assessment? what benefit do we stand to gain when we do assessment, when we conduct facility assessment? So till then, enjoy the rest of the week. And I'm looking forward to see every one of us again on Friday. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
sir.
very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Very much,
I
sir.
appreciate
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Adios.